Did your parents spank you as a form of discipline? How did it affect you?
Story 1.
As a child in the 60s, I was occasionally smacked by mom on the leg. But it had to be a pretty serious incident. However, I had a discussion with a neighbor who is a social worker. She never smacked her kids. I asked how she disciplined them. Her reply shocked me. She withdrew love from them. I asked what she meant, and it involved not speaking to them or hugging them often for a couple of days. I thought that was cruel, far worse than a smack on the leg. I would rather be smacked on the leg than have my mom or dad act like they didn't care for me. Withdrawing love is evil. There were times as a kid I remember telling my mom that I hated her. And her response was always, "But I love you." I feel like teens act put against their parents because of their crazy hormones, obviously, but also because deep inside most kids know their parents love them. And no matter how much they screw up, they will always have their parent. I feel terrible for children who don't have at least one parent who loves them. A parent's love for their child is next level. I love my wife so much, but when my children were born, the level of love I felt for each one was so immense that I didn't think that was possible. It is hard to explain to someone who doesn't have a child. I remember seeing a video long ago about a father running into his burning house to save his 2 kids, and coming out very injured, but with his kids still alive. Before having children, I thought he was insane. But now, I would do the same without a shadow of a doubt.
Story 2.
My parents would lightly spank us on the rear with their hand. It was more a scary consequence, it didn't even hurt. And it was reserved for when I was really being a little shit. Honestly, I'm fine it wasn't traumatic. I honestly learned from it. I personally don't spank my own kids. And I wasn't abused like some of these posts I'm reading. Brutal. This is basically the only response I relate to in any way. Exactly. Everyone else on here has actual WWE levels of physical abuse. Talked shit and got the steel chair type of deal. I only got spanked when I was told multiple times not to do something. And if previous punishments didn't work. And I was spanked the number of times I was told not to do that specific thing. Sometimes would be 8 times, sometimes would just be 3. But I learned real quick to never press my luck past 1. Obviously it sucked when I was 8 years old. But years later I have an extremely close relationship with my parents. Just chiming in. I got spanked, it wasn't hard. I deserved it every time. I have no PTSD from it. And I love my parents to death. I was an absolute shit as a child. And I needed to be corrected sometimes. That's all there is to it. LOL. Interestingly, I also agree with everyone else. While not having kids, I wouldn't spank them if I did.
Story 3.
I was spanked and I used to be pro-spanking. Because I feel like it gave me discipline that a lot of younger folks just don't have. But I had a moment with my cat that made me rethink things. She had done something bad, so I sprayed her with a water bottle. She ran, avoiding most of it. So I chased her to try and get her good. Because I was angry. When she was cornered, she let out this sound like she was terrified of me. It hit me hard. Because I used to be afraid of my dad coming home. Because as a kid, prone to getting in trouble at school, I knew it was likely I was going to get spanked. I realized not only did I not want to make my cat terrified of me, but I didn't want my future kids to be afraid of me either. That's not the kind of parent I wanted to be. I wouldn't hit anyone else's kids. I wouldn't hit my significant other. So why would I hit my own kids? Is violence really the only way to raise them with discipline? I still don't have any, but I'd like to think there are other ways. I too was like this. One day I asked myself, why is it okay to hit children? But it's not okay to hit my spouse. I thought it was so backwards. Honestly, after having kids, I can't understand how my parents did it. I was always against spanking, because the only thing it made me feel was A. Fear, and B. Thinking about how much I hated my father. All I saw was a violent man who couldn't even control himself enough. In my head I would think, do not show pain. Do not show weakness. Don't give it to the beep hole. Since I was very little, I don't think there ever was a moment of, oh, I deserved that. Because I knew I didn't. I was a good kid and would get spanked and slapped for random petty shit. My parents, mostly father, decided was suddenly unacceptable that day. I don't want my kids to fear me or hate me. People telling you, you will understand after you have kids, and some things sure. I now get how frustrating it is to try to get a 3-year-old teenager to pick up her stuff. But the more of a parent I become, the less I can understand how my parents could beat me like that. Just how? My daughter looks like a copy of little me. How? How could anyone look at a cute little child and want to do that? I'm less forgiving towards them now that I have my own kids, because it takes a special kind of messed up to hurt kids who trust you and think it's good for them. One of the greatest honors of my life is being my kids' safe space. Why the duck would anyone destroy that willingly?
Story 4.
My parents would make paddles out of an old 2x4 and drill holes into it so it would hit harder, I guess. They would use it until it broke. Or they would throw my siblings and I on the ground and just start whooping until there was dark purple marks. It ducked us up pretty bad. More than half of my siblings don't talk to my parents anymore. And the ones who do are still dependent on them. Edit. I'm 20, and I'm not condoning abuse whatsoever. This was my experience with being spanked. That's what my parents called it. So that's what I took it as. I had no reason to believe what was happening wasn't normal in any way. Same. My stepfather would make me go find a good piece of wood to beat my ass with, telling me it better not break. A few times I grabbed too small a piece of wood, and it would break on my ass. He'd make me go find another and start all over. I used to have dreams of killing him. No bloody wonder. That's physical and emotional abuse taken to the extreme. I can't even begin to imagine the fear and trepidation going around looking for that stick. Parents are supposed to love and protect their children, not beat them senseless. I truly hope your life is heaps better now.
Story 5.
I just deleted a whole paragraph of childhood trauma that I don't need to dump on anyone today. Suffice to say, I was a violent person until I went on antidepressants. I'm not proud of it. I've never actually hurt anyone. But I was the instigator. I'm also frightened of yelling or just loud talking. It makes me want to hide in the cupboard. Sometimes that's why I've gotten violent. Just to escape that or make it stop. Anyway, I grew up a lot and took some meds and feel a lot better about things. Edit. I didn't have children.
If you enjoy our channel, we'd love to invite you to become a member. Joining is easy. Just click the join button on our channel homepage or beneath any of our videos. Your support means the world to us, and as a member, you'll gain access to exclusive perks and content. Thank you for being part of our community. We look forward to welcoming you as a member soon.